Philadelphia has banned cashless stores, and there is a lawsuit that could shake up the real estate industry dramatically. Check it out now. I'm Tom Toole. She's Jess Lion. This is Toole Time, and we are talking about a interesting local issue today, a kind of bombshell lawsuit that's hitting the real estate industry, and wrapping it up with C.S. Lewis at the end. Let's get into the first topic right away, Jess. So Philadelphia was the first city in the country to ban cashless stores. What do you think about all this? Good move, bad move?
I think it's a good move. I don't think that cash should be banned just because I have a great example of this. So last week, my debit card got hacked and I couldn't use it at all. So I had to go to the gas station. I wasn't able to use my card. You need to use cash. So for things like that, I think it's like absolutely necessary. Not accepting cash. You're going to limit all of your buyers. Some buyers don't have access to like smartphones, so I know that these cashless stores you can pay on your phone. So I mean, I don't think it's a smart move for them to ban cash.
Yeah, I don't. I agree with you. To ban the cashless store entirely, though, I mean, a lot of this is with income levels, right? I mean, there's certain people that are lower income aren't going to necessarily have access to credit cards, cash, or apps, all that sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. To make it a strict ban, it's a little aggressive. I mean, there's companies like Drybar, right? They want you to book through the app, and they want you to go and schedule your appointment there and prepay so they can get you in and out for efficiency purposes. That's one example. There's other places that other stores out there that they don't want to take cash because it creates like some accounting problems for them. So the ban seems a little aggressive. Now, should you not accept cash? Of course not. I think to your point, it's kind of silly not to accept cash in a lot of places. Philadelphia is kind of an interesting city. I find that they go, some of the things that happen in Philadelphia are kind of crazy. I mean, you look at some of the local government corruption, the drop program where people could retire for a day and get a couple $100,000 pension, where there's city councilmen selling lots to their friends without putting them on the open market that are city owned. So all this stuff that happens in the city is a little archaic. I agree with you. You can't ban cash, but there's some stores that their business model is not to appeal to some people that are lower income. I mean, you don't get a lot of people that are paying with cash going to get their hair blown out. I mean, that's just one example. So
I find it easy to not paying cash in like those kind of instances when you do get your hair blown out. Or I even used it the other night at a restaurant. Like instead of tipping cash or anything like that, I was able to do it. Like obviously you could do it on your card, or you could do it through your phone, through Venmo, and you can tip like at Drybar. You can tip your hairstylist through Venmo. So I think in some instances, like you're saying, Drybar, places like that, it works. But for most, I don't think so.
So the other thing that's kind of interesting here is Amazon right now is testing cashierless stores in the future, and again, how's it going to impact people? Now I know if you go to the grocery store and they have like the self checkout and you got to feed the money in, which is kind of a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
I mean, I find those take longer than with the cashier.
You should never do self checkout.
I'm with you.
10 years.
But that's what they're testing right now. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see where this goes. The ban seems a little aggressive. Because there's going to be stores that are going to accept cash, and that's who's going to attract people to want to pay, and that sort of thing. So, agree with you. Fundamentally, you have to accept cash.
Got to do it.
Ban might have been a little aggressive. Is my view on that. So, sounds like we're kind of agreeing here, like a half agreement almost is what I'm reading
half
into.
Agreement. Is that a thing?
But an interesting topic nonetheless. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out, because this is definitely something you're going to be dealing with in the future.
I'm going to be dealing with it in the city.
Yeah. Well.
I'll let you know how it goes.
So it's not a problem for you. You're good, right?
Yeah.
Second topic. There is a bombshell. I just knocked the microphone with my mouth there. That's great. The bombshell lawsuit that could undo the real estate industry. So the suit is filed by a home seller, and he or she filed a class action lawsuit challenging a principal tenet of how the real estate industry works. And one of the main reasons behind the existence of the MLS. So the complaint, it was filed March 6th of last year, takes aim at a lot of the industry's big brokerages and some of the top players, so NAR, Realogy, who owns like Coldwell Banker, Home Services of America, Berkshire Hathaway, Remax, Keller Williams, that they're all violating the Sherman Antitrust Act by requiring listing brokers to make a blanket non-negotiable offer of buyer-broker compensation when listing a property on the MLS. And they're referring to it as the buyer-broker commission rule. And the suit alleges that the rule has inflated costs for sellers by requiring sellers to pay a higher commission than they otherwise would. Instead, the buyers pay the buyer agent directly. So I didn't go through and read the lawsuit. Full disclosure, it was a guy named Chris from Minnesota, and he sold a home in November 2017, and he's represented by 6 law firms in the suit. So, and they're naming all the different MLSs that are out there. So, what do you think about all this? This is kind of interesting. I have some obvious thoughts here, but I want to hear you take the lead, Jess.
First of all, when you sit down with your potential listing agent and you're going over, your listing contract, they are going over how much they are going to be compensating any person who brings a buyer agent, and you do get to, in some cases, negotiate on that if you need to. So I'm just putting that out there. But not every buyer is going, if you do you want the buyer to compensate an agent, not every buyer is going to have the funds to pay that extra commission. It'll take away from what they're putting into a house. So I think that would be like a huge issue if it were to go that way.
That's a really good point. So the complaint, they call it a conspiracy, and I love lawsuits like this because this to me is almost, it's one of those things where just because, anyone can sue anyone for any reason. Let's just be very clear about that. There's a bunch of these nonsense, frivolous suits that are out there. So what the complaint does not address, one, is the consequence of having buyers pay their own brokers. That could limit the amount of buyers for the home because it's going to cost them more money to go buy the place, so they can't pay you the price that you want. So kind of counterintuitive there to the argument, number one. Secondly, making buyers pay their own brokers directly might cause fewer buyers to hire agents and give sellers an upper hand in negotiations because most people don't know what the heck they're doing in a real estate transaction. Part of our job is education. Here's what the contract says. Here's what's in your best interest. And while a seller's filing that and they're looking at the fees involved, it's to me, they're not taking everything into account. One other thing mentioned here is they say a non-negotiable offer of compensation. Well, buyer agents can negotiate what they want. I don't recommend it, but sometimes there'll be people that say, I don't want to pay anything on the MLS. And they pay, we're going to co-op at $0 or a couple $100. And the buyer agent has the right to write up a contract contingent on getting the proper compensation. That's how it works in Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. Obviously, different states, different rules. And then according to NAR's Code of Ethics, it prohibits buyers' brokers from making home purchase offers contingent on reducing the buyer-broker commission. So, again, it's an ethical issue here. And I just, the whole thing here doesn't make a lot of sense because if you look at the data, homes that only involve a single agent or no agent at all sell from anywhere from 9 to 17% less. So this complaint is filed by someone contending that he left money on the table. I would go the other way where he probably got more money by using an agent.
Exactly. And I feel like you said this as well. You're kind of doing a disservice to your client as if they are the seller and you're not paying out a commission to the buyer's agent potentially because that limits your pool. A lot of buyer's agents won't potentially show a property that doesn't have commission on there, which I don't think is right. I don't really look at commissions when I'm looking at anything on the MLS, but I feel like you'd be limiting the amount of buyers that would be coming to your seller.
So the reality is, have you sold a for sale by owner before?
I actually
on the buy
have not.
Side? You have not. So we do it frequently. I don't think that's the question here at our team. There's no guarantee we're getting paid. There's no guarantee that we're going to get a commission from that, but we do what's right by our clients. So do other realtors sandbag for sale by owners? Absolutely. Let's just call it what it is. So I kind of get the point there a little bit, But where they go through this suit, I mean, it's it's something that I don't know is going to go very far. Number one, they're talking about the MLS protection of data and how it's price fixing. A seller can offer out whatever they want. There's no rule that says that. That's where this is wrong. Where I see the challenge is they've got to get other people to buy in and bring their clients through, and they might hurt themselves by not offering out the normal compensation.
Right.
Just like when you hire a lawyer, when you go to LegalZoom and you get your will done, you might be in some trouble. When you hire the estate attorney,
LegalZoom
usually works out a lot better, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised that someone came out with a lawsuit like this. I don't see it having a lot of momentum and actually going much further. Just was kind of an interesting story.
No.
Sounds like we're
on the same page.
On the same page. Cool. So, Jess, you had a really cool quote this week. Why don't you give it to us, and we'll talk about what you think, what I think, and go from there.
Yes, the quote is from C.S. Lewis, and it's, "You can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending." So, to me, this is just saying that no matter what you have come from, what type of upbringing, if you had a rough start, maybe not a so rough start, you can choose today to write the rest of your story. I mean, it doesn't have to be, you came from a rough start and it's going down that path. You can, all the choices that you make today, you can ultimately write out what you want to happen in your life.
So it's almost like when people say you can't pick your family, but you get to pick the people you spend your time with. Not that I'm a negative proponent of family, but I mean, sometimes there's, you got like that crazy uncle that you don't want to spend any time with,
yep.
and you have someone maybe that's become a very close friend of yours, and you decide to spend your time with them, and they help level you up. So, yeah, I mean, you can't change the beginning. The beginning's really out of your control. It's the journey and what happens after that, and where you are, and changing the ending. So this to me is all about action and actions that you take, or intentional actions. So you decide, okay, I'm not happy that I got bad grades in school, so I'm going to study more to get better grades. Or I'm not happy that I'm overweight, so I'm going to exercise more, and I'm not going to be overweight. Or same thing in your business. I mean, you're going to take the actions that are going to drive more business. So all this tells me is that the people that complain about what goes on in their life, they're not going to change the beginning. They're going to keep living that. But if you want to really make a change, all you have to do is decide what that change is and commit to it every day.
Yeah.
Pretty simple.
You can't dwell on anything that happened in the past. It's the biggest time waster. It'll keep you stuck, and you won't move forward at all. So
I'm all about being positive and moving forward, no question. That's a wrap this week. We'll be back on Toole Time. Thanks, Jess. Catch everyone later.